Hello, this is Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, and I am delighted that we are joined yet again by the legendary Sandy Campbell, my dear friend, my wonderful influence in the theater, musician extraordinaire, and so often thought of by so many of us, the premier Broadway accompanist of all time. So, Sandy, there's just a zillion questions I want to ask you, and so many different conversations I want to have. We ought to just do this on a daily basis for the rest of our lives. But we've taught so much together over the years, um, and I find that of all the people I've taught and done workshops with in musical theater, you are the one person who actually teaches be a star.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit for those who haven't taken Access Forum or don't know about our classes or haven't gotten to work with us. What is that to you exactly when an actor comes into an audition room? You
They
talk.
take it. I remember she's doing a television show now. Princess, no, what Queen Latifah.
Oh,
When she came, she because and your people that you might even have been at that audition. Actually, it was Hughes Moss
oh yeah,
and I saw them. They gave me a list. Hughes Moss would always give me a list of the names of people who were,
I do that.
yeah. So I saw the Queen Latifah, and I thought, wow, that's a very unusual name for a performer. Who would? It just so seems so brave to take a baby and name her Queen. It just, and so and nobody knew her. She
Back
walked in the
then.
door and she took over the room. She was so present and so big and so joyful, and I mean we all loved her before she opened her mouth, And what did she sang? Of course, it was fabulous. So, and I think she got that job too. Whatever it was, if we could figure out what
Uh
she
huh.
might remember, but um, that and all the people who would come in who were really talented and had beautiful voices, and they would go, "Well, I hope I tried to get the kind of song you wanted," and they apologize, and they're little, and they're afraid of maybe upsetting you or something, and I would try to give them to take over the room, get them to be a star, take over the room, get because we have to hire people who can do the job, and the people who can do the job are the people who take over the room.
Exactly.
Unless now you could be in the chorus and not able to do it, although we prefer people who can actually do the job in the chorus too.
Right, because those are the understudies who at some point have to stand in front of a room full of 1,500 people who've all paid $200 to sit there, and $200 each to sit there, and yeah, they got to be able to own the place.
Well, and we want to believe that all the people, even if they're happy villagers, that they are happy villagers, not, oh God, I have to do this again. Oh my God.
Right, right.
So anybody who can actually just be there, be take whatever and sing whatever. We don't actually Nobody actually cares what you sing, what style it is, what if you can sing, you can sing. Whatever it is, if you come and if what you choose to sing is not going to answer the question of what we need to hear in order to hire that person, we say, look, what about, do you know anything of any sort of whatever? And I would always say, so why don't you come back tomorrow? I would, I try to avoid them having to come up with stuff at the top of their heads
Yeah.
because it didn't seem right to me.
Well, those days are gone, but it's a little more on the spot. But also, I think actors are now more prepared to do it. They
I
understand
did it.
that.
People came to Broadway shows to audition for it. They had a fast song and they had a slow song, and that was it. And it was a job of the people who were hiring people to recognize who could do the job instead of waiting for somebody to say, "I'm perfect for you. Here it is," and you don't have to think anything. I can sing. I'm going to sing your song that you wrote, and that'll prove to you that it's a good song. And wait a minute, it's not. We're not auditioning. We're looking for talent for the stage. We want them to live on this stage, not make the composer happy, you know? Makes me crazy.
For sure. No, that's great. And you talked a lot. So often you talk to actors who were delivering the big last note of a song and say, "Give me the Liza arms. Just
Yeah.
give me the arms. Make
Yeah, there's
yourself."
some fear that people have going that they're supposed to be still and hold still and not move. If you get a job on a Broadway show, you're going to have to move. Hello,
Hmm.
you know, they move. People walk, and people's arms go up. So to have to, whoever is making people make become smaller are not helping people.
Yeah. Well, some of that I think is culturally so much now has moved to the small screen. There's so much TV work, and actors are very often focused on being contemporary and being this version of real. But we would always teach actors that there is that reality. There's also this reality.
Yeah, right.
That's also real.
Yeah, but I just my feeling is I never saw a wonderful person, clearly thrilling person to come in an audition, not get the job.
Hmm.
You
Wow.
know, I mean, there are not a lot of them. Obviously, there are not a lot
Yeah.
of people who can walk in the door and do that because they don't give themselves permission. But and other people don't give them permission. People who teach them that they pay people to coach them to
Hmm.
be smaller than ever, and they worry about getting the right song.
Yeah.
If you get the right song, in my history, in my years of Broadway, which is 60 to 20, whatever,
Yeah.
where uh,
It's,
that that
it's roughly 60 years, but yeah.
that you had two songs, you had a fast song and a slow song. Either they got you and you got them, or they didn't. It's not a big deal. It is show business.
Yeah. Jack Dab did his whole career with the one song, The Olive Tree. Came
Yeah,
in and sang that for every audition,
totally.
booked practically every job, booked
Oh yeah,
Showboat with us.
I've played that a million times.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's wonderful. I I'm wondering if anything stands out in your head. I'll say that again.
That was from Kismet.
Yes,
I'll,
yes, of course, of course. I wonder if anything stands out in your mind, and I'll tell you the one that stands out in mind as just a particularly great audition that you got to play. The one that comes to my mind is with Ragtime when uh, I brought in LaChance, and Lynn and Steve, of course, had worked with LaChance on Once on This Island, and they they did not see her as a Sarah because, of course, we wrote Sarah. They wrote Sarah for Audra because we had Audra in from the very beginning, and LaChance and Audra are both such stars, but each in their own way. And LaChance came in. I brought her in, even though it had been suggested to me, we'll say that maybe that would not be an appropriate thing to do. But LaChance went to you first.
Subtle.
It's Subtlety is my middle name. But LaChance had the presence of mind to call you up, and she went to you and said, "Help me with the song," because she knew it was written in a key that was not going to make her sound her best. And she went to you, and I remember her telling me that you looked at her and you knew the song very well because you had played all our auditions, and you said to her, "Okay, this song is not what you do well. Let's rearrange it to make this song what you do well because it's about you. It's not about the song." Even though she was going in for that role with the material from the show for the writers, and she showed up and she was totally professional. She walked in the room. She did not have any, like, "Oh, hi, nice to see you again." None of that. She just walked in the room, looked over at you, had a blanket rolled up to be the baby that she was going to use for that song, which for that song was appropriate. And she nodded to you, and you played this beautiful arrangement you came up with for her. And when she was done, we were all completely blown away. And of course, I was grinning from ear to ear because I was like, I knew she could do it. And or I knew you could do it in this case. And I remember Steve Flaherty just shook his head in disbelief, and he said, "That was wonderful. I wrote that song, and I wouldn't have been able to imagine that arrangement. How did you come up with that arrangement?" And LaChance just smiled and nodded over to you and said, "Well, Sandy did that." And and she booked it, and she got the job. She opened the Chicago company, and then she replaced Audra on Broadway with that. And and that's the thing, is you have this philosophy that I think was very uh, hard earned from years on Broadway of, let's do what you do well. The audition is not about the actor conforming to what the show requires. It's about the actor showing off what they do well.
Cutting your conscience to please, that famous thing that um, Lillian Hellman said about cutting her conscience to fit. You know,
I don't know the quote, but that's fabulous. Yeah.
it was from they tried to get her to say that about being a communist,
Oh yeah.
you know, and they took during the 50s, that guy who
Yeah. Joe McCarthy, the McCarthy trials. Yeah, yeah, I remember.
to cut her conscience to fit whatever
Yeah.
that was. Yeah, I never saw that. I see the life and the joy and the creativity of people who allow themselves to come in to bring themselves to the audition, to whatever it is, who enjoy bringing themselves to it,
Yeah.
and they get jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, playing through so many Broadway stars. I mean, I know you worked on Me and My Girl, of course, and you would always say how with Robert Lindsay, the orchestra would, you didn't want to miss what he was doing, even though you had to play.
Watched him all the time, and we were in a pit. We had to we couldn't stand up, but we watched everything that he was doing. Because when he did a bit with the bear rug, which was very far downstage, and he decided, and he has to wrestle with a bear rug, and at some point one day he was best wrestling with the bear rug, and he leaned over and he saw all these people in the pit, and he responded to what he saw. There's a whole bunch of people in the pit. He just was there. The point was he was there. He saw, he acted. He didn't have to, it wasn't planned. You know that when I was doing Pippin and Ben was leaving, that we had a they had a audition for replacements, and and uh, and Bob said he wanted to see anybody who had that thing that Ben had to come in. It could to bring see old, young, black, white, girl, woman, and we saw everybody who walked into the door who wanted to, whose agent or who whatever, I don't know how out there.
Sure. Yeah.
But Bob really wanted to find that quality of present. The thing
Yeah.
that Ben has is he's so present. I mean, it could be all fake. Who knows about? I don't know whether actors are faking or not. I'm not supposed to know.
Right. If
If they're good, I believe it.
if you're faking, do it well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so the best directors I've ever known always looked for the person, not the response to the person. So if you come in and say, "I know that you want a high A, so I'm going to sing this," because we don't care what you know, we don't care what you've been told. Who are you? Show
Yeah.
us who you are.
Yeah.
Show us if you love doing this. Show us if you love to sing.
Beautiful. I love that. That's just glorious. That's it. That's where it lives. I mean, and we all know the people who do that, the people who walked in the room and do that.
Yeah, immediately.
And there are those experiences where, Audra walks into an open call and starts singing, and it's just like, it's not just because it's the most beautiful voice in the world. It's also because you are so fully present and you love this so much, and it's just the thrill of the presence, being so fully present in a way that you have that stage presence and it radiates. That's um it's so fun because we shared so many years in the audition room together, and just that moment when it happens, and you and I and everyone in the room are just taken up with it. It's
I,
like,
I've seen you all applaud people at an audition. It's just so exciting when someone.
Rare.
Oh no, it's rare. Of course, it's rare, but
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah, it's remarkable. All right, so before we close out this session, I have one question for you. We've just gotten through this. Well, we are in the process of getting through this world pandemic. Broadway is scheduling now reopenings, and tickets are on sale for the fall. And the governor announced this morning that September 14th is the official reopening date. May 19th, it's open. But then somebody said to him, shows have to be rehearsed now, and we don't just open and everybody's been sitting in the theater the whole year. Yeah. uh, so things are beginning to start back, and we don't know if that's going to be a process of a year or 3 months or 3 years, or what it's going to take till we get back to really full performance schedules and auditions and such. Nobody knows. But I wonder if you have any advice for actors who have had to sit out a year at this point in their career. And that means people who are established enough that they had some momentum going, but also the kids who just graduated with a degree in musical theater, who were so excited to come to New York and try Broadway, and then it went on hold for a year. Do you have anything to say to those people?
I wish them luck. I hope that they have a I hope they love doing this. I hope that they are really happy that the doors open again, and that they can do what they set out to do. I, I hope it's joyful.
Beautiful. And then, of course, I know you well enough to know you'd also say, take a good kick in the ass and get to work.
Yeah, I can be a little.
That wouldn't hurt anybody. I think that's I think a good get to work.
That those girls and boys at class, nobody had a vagina. Nobody had anything beyond south of their belts. You could. How can you sing and not have the rest of your body there?
Yeah. Yeah. Being activated from your center.
Yeah, and your center is your vagina.
Well, well, we say genitals to,
Whatever guys do, I don't have a guys. Whatever equipment guys have,
yeah.
we
Yeah.
go what it is.
It's important to sing from your life force. That's
That's
the
what it
thing.
is, honey. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what it is. That's what it is. All right. Well, thank you, Sandy Campbell, for all of these sessions. And I'm going to continue to try to coerce you into a few more, because we got this whole resume to go through with all your zillions of credits. Look at all those shows. Oh my God. I'm so happy you're with us. And thank you all for joining us at Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. This is Arnold Manjoli with the legendary Sandy Campbell, and we'll see you again.